why you should spice up your life. I have 5 good reasons right here. One is that spices contain very powerful anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties. They also may help fight cancer. They help with weight management. They support our gut health, and it's sustainable. It's great for a cumulative effect. You all have this in your power pantries right now. So anybody can do this. I'm really excited about this. And I personally got excited about this topic when I saw this article from the American Institute for Cancer Research. It's titled "The Spices of Cancer Protection." And I looked at that, when you're working in the oncology space, you see everything. You see every supplement and every potential cure, and you see everything. And I thought to myself, wait a minute, anybody can do this. This is great. So, and there's an explosion of research. Just in the past 5 years, look at this, thousands and thousands of studies about the effects of spices. So, and I'm going to give you just 2 examples of some research. This is 2 universities got together, conducted a study if eating spices can reduce inflammatory markers in the blood. So they had an intervention group and a control group. The intervention group had half a teaspoon combination of spices. And then a week later, they added blood to cells that had been exposed to inflammation. And what they saw is that with just half a teaspoon a day for 7 days, there was a measurable change in antioxidant and anti-inflammatory activity. And that's incredible. Think about it. Think if you're doing this for months or a year. The key thing with spices is that it's not some magic bullet or pill. It's something you need to have consistency with, because it has a cumulative effect. Here's just one other example. I won't bore you with studies, but UCLA did a study and they wanted to look at spices and bacterial growth. And what was interesting here is that they found that spices had a dual effect. On the one hand, it promoted healthy, good gut bacteria, but on the other hand, it also inhibited the bad bacteria. So that, I think, is fascinating that it had that dual effect. And this is my all-time favorite. This was a game changer for me. This is a study that basically used what's called a FRAP assay. And what they did is they took to measure the antioxidant level between 3,100 foods. So they took these foods, and spices by far had the highest antioxidant content. So you could see here, strawberries, kale, this is all good stuff, but spices, look at this, clove, allspice, cinnamon, oregano, really, really, really high. Of course, it's easier to eat an ounce of berries than an ounce of spice, of course. However, what this tells us is that just a pinch packs a big punch, just a little bit. So small amounts can make a big difference. And again, I have to stress that it has a cumulative effect. So you want to create these habits in the morning, in the afternoon, evening, over time. So now I'm going to put it into action here. I'm going to show you a meal transformation. Utilizing the information from that study, I had to pick foods and spices that were included in that 3,100 foods that they analyzed. So here you have these overnight oats. Say you have half a cup of sprouted rolled oats, a cup of a plant-based milk. You have an antioxidant value of 136. Now, if you add 1 heaping teaspoon of, this is my golden breakfast blend, but you can make your own. It's basically Ceylon cinnamon, cacao, and turmeric. So you're adding that, you've gone from 136 to 1,292. That is a difference maker, and that is a meal transformation. And it tastes delicious, easy stuff. Another thing you want to think about when it comes to spicing is the power of combinations. So what we've learned is that different spices work in sync. So how you pair them is also very important. There's something called absorption boosters. These are combinations that boost the absorption of the active compound. So these are just a few examples here. There's also a synergistic action. The combined effect is greater than either one on their own. So that's interesting. And then there's double dose, where both or as many spices are benefiting, working towards the same goals. So that's been kind of fun when I'm putting together some formulation. This is just one example here. I love this. I kind of dubbed this one my breast cancer support formula. It's the Veggie Power. So we've got garlic and onion, both linked to lower breast cancer risk, turmeric. Also, research demonstrates its potential anti-cancer effects. Black pepper enhances the absorption of curcumin. Parsley has something called epigenin, really great for breast cancer protection. And all these spices actually collectively help reduce body inflammation. Now, you can also make your own. I'm giving you an approximate here by taking a combination of these spices, shake it up in a jar. You don't have to get mine, but that's really, really fun. And I think you'll have fun with that too. And here are some other meal transformations. You can take a cup of chickpeas, add half a teaspoon of the Veggie Power, again, the combination that you can make. You're having an increase, 61% increase in the antioxidant value just by spicing it, flavor and function. Same with organic sprouted tofu. You can add like an everything savory spice blend, and you've got a 52% increase. Lots of fun here. So this is one of my favorite, well, one of the simple, what I call 101 recipes from my masterclass. It's so easy. You guys can literally make this tomorrow if you want to. You take 2 cups of broth, a teaspoon of the spice blend that I just showed you, you can make, the Veggie Power, a cup of quinoa, and simmer it for 15 minutes. Now, what are you going to get? What are we seeing behind the scenes here? I'm seeing 5 grams of fiber, 8 grams of protein, and then you've got this combination, you know, there's parsley in there. So parsley has something called quercetin that enhances the absorption of curcumin, the active compound in turmeric. Black pepper enhances the absorption of curcumin as well. Onion and garlic, as I mentioned, both offer breast cancer protection. All this greatness, so simple. It's like coming home and it's like the effort of scrambling an egg. Literally, you just make this, you don't have to think about it. I can't stress enough simplicity. You can transform your beverages. Everything we eat, drink deserves an upgrade. Like here's my water here. I'm upgrading it as well. It's fun. It's tasty. So this is one of my favorite drinks that I like to relax with, the golden matcha latte. And what's great is that you have cacao and turmeric in this drink. It both show promise as far as anti-cancer benefits, but again, you've got quercetin from the cacao, the pure cacao, that enhances curcumin absorption, the active protective compound in turmeric, and then cacao and matcha have been shown to have some synergy as well. Both, again, potential cancer fighting properties, but also cacao enhances the absorption of EGCG, which is the major antioxidant in matcha, which is basically a powdered green tea. So that's kind of fun as well. And I want you guys to have fun with this, really have fun with this. You could take everyday foods and upgrade them. For example, if you're buying a marinara sauce, it already has some herbs usually in there. If you read the ingredient list, give it an upgrade. Add some more. Add some dried basil, rosemary, and thyme. Dried spices, by the way, have 20% more, 20 times more of the antioxidants than fresh. Both are amazing. I'm not downplaying fresh, but people underestimate dried herbs. They're really, really concentrated in antioxidants. Stir it in there, you're getting a flavor boost and so much more. Take your hummus. You buy a container of hummus or you make it, go ahead, stir in some paprika. Great added value. Add any of the spice blends in there. It's delicious. A nut butter. People usually don't think about it. You're having a little snack, you have a nut butter, stir in some Ceylon cinnamon, cacao, any kind of sweet spice blend that you want to, you're giving it an upgrade. It's great. Coffee, people love this one. They're like, really? So coffee, I tell people to add some Ceylon cinnamon and ginger, because ginger and cinnamon have a synergistic antioxidant activity when they're combined with coffee. So that's kind of fun, really a lot of fun. Popcorn, you can add anything, lentils, beans, any savory blend. Again, have fun with it, but appreciate it. You're really giving it an upgrade. It's not all about supplements. Some tips and tricks when you're shopping for spices, some do's. I really recommend going organic. It's just maybe $2–3 more. You're keeping it for about 6 months. And it's different than when you're buying produce. So when it's organic, when it comes to spices, they sterilize it with steam. When it's conventional, they sterilize it by with fumigation or using gamma ray radiation, which reduces the nutritional value. There's also, we read about some chemicals that are used that the World Health Organization isn't a fan of. I think with spices, I really, really stress that. And again, it's such a small difference for something you're going to use for months. And consistency, be consistent. Again, we're going for a cumulative effect over time, a quarter, half a teaspoon. These little pinches make a difference, but they're not an immediate kind of feeling, you know, that it doesn't work like that. And then diversify. Think of spicing as an investment portfolio. Change it up. That's why you want to make your own blends and do all that as well. Once you open your spices, 6 to 12 months is what I recommend before you replace them, and store them in a dark area. The don'ts, please don't buy them from bins. I know it's so tempting. We go to the farmer's market or we travel. They're not changing, they're not emptying out those bins at any time. Things have been sitting in there. I don't even want to go there. Just buy them sealed. And then look at the ingredient list. It's amazing. When we were producing doing our little project with the spicing blends, so many blends have added salt and sugar and anti-caking agents. All you want is pure spice. Just that's all there should be in there. Kind of like buying a nut butter. It's just the nuts or the seeds, and maybe a little flavor, sea salt, or if it's a treat, a little something sweet in there. So that's power spicing for you. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm very enthusiastic about it, as you can see. And yeah, Lynn, take it over.
All right. Thanks, Rachel. Again, I love that little tip about dried spices, and they have 20% more. I would have never known that. And really what you're talking, just the meal transformation with just a little bit of spicing. So that's great. All right. So I'm going to try to get to as many questions because we have lots of them. So any tips for best spicing during treatment, especially related to nausea?
Cinnamon is great. I love recommending Ceylon cinnamon. It's true cinnamon. Ceylon cinnamon, that might be a question that's coming up. It always comes like, what did she say? What's Ceylon cinnamon? Ceylon cinnamon is true cinnamon. It is, if your bottle doesn't say Ceylon, it's not Ceylon. And the reason I favor it is because it doesn't have as much coumarin, and coumarin at amounts higher than like a heaping teaspoon a day could be toxic to the liver. So play it safe. You don't want as much coumarin in there. And yeah, so it's great. And it's also sweeter. It's got a very sweet taste and smell. So I love it. All my blends, I only use Ceylon cinnamon. It's great. But again, if you're using it regularly, then I recommend going with Ceylon. If you're at a coffee shop and there's a cinnamon shaker, don't fear it. Don't say, oh, whoa, there's coumarin and there's a lot. There's 1,200 times more coumarin. No. It's fine. It's totally fine.
And can you really get that at an average store, the Ceylon cinnamon too?
Ceylon cinnamon, it's a little tricky. I only know this because, you know, when we try to source it, it's not, I don't see it in the shelves at the health food store as much as I'd like to see it. You can buy it online. We have it as part of our 8-pack gift set, but but you can find it. It's not online. You can find it. And yeah, it's great.
Okay. Do you have any, or I know you mentioned organic spices. Do you have any sort of brand recommendations in regards to organic spices?
Besides Bella Nutrition, there's Spicely, which is pretty good. We're always looking at these things because ours are blends, so it's a little more specific for people who are buying something like that. But Spicely's pretty good. It's when it comes to spices, I like companies that do things in small batches. So these smaller companies is what I favor, like Spicely.
Great. That's helpful because people were asking really the difference in the quality of spices and things like that as well.
I can tell you it's a tricky business, but but yeah, there are plenty of good options.
Okay.
And they're not necessarily that much more expensive.
Okay. And then again, this is not quite related, but somewhere as far as sweeteners are concerned, as far as honey or agave, are there recommendations that you would have in regards to that?
Absolutely. So there are different categories. There's artificial sweeteners, which aren't that friendly for our gut microbiome as well. And then there's like stevia and monk fruit. There's sugar alcohols like erythritol, sorbitol. And they're very, very sweet. They're natural, which is great. Also, some suggestive research saying that it's not so friendly for our gut microbiome. But all in all, you can use them because in any case, we want them to use them in moderation. And why is that? Because one of the things that's important to work on is training your palate not to crave intense sweetness. Because if you're having something that's, let's say, fully natural, but it's so intensely sweet, it triggers you to crave more sweetness. And it creates a vicious cycle, and it's something my patients really struggle with is sugar cravings. So that's one thing. Then there's the natural sweeteners. So then there's coconut sugar and agave. I'm not really a fan of, but I recommend for my patients pure maple syrup, maybe some honey. But again, you're using small amounts, very small amounts, but it's okay to have it. And it's also important to know what you're pairing it with. So how you synergistically create your meals and snacks is very important for leveling off your blood sugars as well. But so natural sweeteners, honey, pure maple sugar, pure maple or palm sugar. And then we have the natural sugar replacements that either camp, keep it on the low end,